The World Cup draw, it's finally here. I'm Albert, that's Dominic. Welcome to PB Ballers, and we're going to react to the full World Cup draw that just released. Let's get right to it, Dominic. Looking at Group A, we got Mexico, South Africa, South Korea, the Taeguk Warriors, and the winner of UEFA Path D. Now, for me, just looking at it from a first reaction, I think obviously Mexico is a team we have history with. Played them at the 2018 World Cup. Also played them recently in a friendly unit in the United States that ended in a 2-2 draw. I think we tend to play those games very close. Mexico and Korea tend to always, kind of be almost evenly matched. Given the fact that this tournament is going to be in Mexico, Korea is actually going to play all three of their games down below the border of the United States. It's going to be tough, I think, that one game against Mexico in Guadalajara. I think that's where it's going to take place. So we're going to really have to bunker down for that match. The other matches, though, are going to be against South Africa, who I think is their first World Cup since 2010 when they hosted it. Normally, people might say South Africa, okay, not good, but I think this is actually one of their better teams that they've had in a while. So they're not a team that you should kind of look over. And then also the winner of UEFA Path D, which right now is either one of Denmark, North Macedonia, Czechia, or Ireland. Sorry, they used to be called the Czech Republic, but out of all those four, I think probably the Danes would be the most dangerous for us, yet we can't speculate who's going to win. But I think it could have been worse for us, could have been better, but it's something that we should still be able to qualify from.
It should be a doable group for South Korea, especially when you look at the past matches against Mexico. I think we did pretty well. It ended in a 2-2, but overall we did pretty good. Also South Africa, I cannot really say if they are strong. If you look at their form, I think they haven't lost a game in like 10 matches, but the opponents weren't that high in the FIFA ranking, that quality teams. I think Denmark or whoever it is we're gonna have to play against can be pretty rough, but all in all, I think as you say, we should qualify from this.
And I think the key is that the opening match will not be against Mexico. South Korea's opening match is going to be against UEFA Path D. The South Africans will take on the Mexicans, that home opener. And, in a home opener, the World Cup, all the energy, all the excitement. So the home team has a little more juice. But I actually think in the second game, as a host, maybe that juice energy level kind of does flow down a bit at times. So I think that's, in terms of scheduling, it's better for us. If it's Denmark, I think Denmark does have maybe a little bit of a stronger team from top to bottom. At the same time, mentally speaking, I think they really screwed it up when they tied Belarus in qualifying, and then they lost to Scotland at Hampden Park. So mentally, they're a bit fragile, and if they do go through, I think they'll probably feel a lot better about themselves. But again, physically speaking, that's not a good matchup for Korea. So I'd be happy with the draw against the Danes. Against South Africa, all due respect to them, they're an okay team. Like I said, most of their players play in the domestic league, I believe, in South Africa. We should still be getting the 3 points. And then against Mexico, I'd be okay with a draw or a loss. But honestly, I think 4 points still gets you out of this group. So it's not something that I look at and think, okay, we can't do it. And if Hong doesn't get us out of this group, he should absolutely be fired. All right, now let's look at Group B. This is the other host, Canada. It's going to be Canada, position 1. The second team is UEFA Path A winner, Qatar, Switzerland. I mean, not the hardest group, but the winner of Path A is either going to be Wales, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Italy, or Northern Ireland. So you could potentially see Italy in that group. For me, it's fairly straightforward. I think Canada should absolutely go through, and also the Swiss as well. And I think, unfortunately for Qatar, they don't really play well outside of the Middle East. I think the European teams will probably do a lot better in this group. What do you think?
I'd expect Canada and Switzerland also to go through, and I cannot really predict who is going to make it through the UEFA path. So
can't trust Italy.
Can't trust Italy. I mean, there's a reason why they aren't directly qualified. So maybe Wales can do it, maybe a dark horse, but I think Canada and Switzerland also have the best chances to go through.
Yeah, I think given Canada's form under Jesse Marsh recently, and given the fact they're going to be playing all of their games either in Vancouver or Toronto, it's going to be a madhouse with all the Canadian fans packing the stadium. I think Alphonso Davies of München is slowly coming back from his ACL injury. He will probably have around like 3-4 months of game time in by the time the World Cup runs around. So I still think it should be enough for him to be in form. Obviously Jonathan David, who's been playing well in Europe. So I think that this really is the World Cup where Canada does better than it did, because 4 years ago, I think it was really disappointing. They played well in Qatar. They just didn't show a good result in the final result. So I think this could be a bit of redemption for the Canadians here. All right, and then let's move to Group C then, Dominic. We got Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland making their first appearance since 1998. I'll let you go first here, man. What did you think when you saw this one go down?
Well, that's a tough group, I think. Full of like emotions. If you look at Scotland, what a way they had to directly qualify. Morocco also an underrated team, I think. Were very, very good individual players, and Brazil obviously you always have to be aware of their quality. So yeah, I think it's not that easy to say who's gonna make it actually. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. This group is almost the same group that we saw in 1998, the last time Scotland made a World Cup. It's just missing Norway from it. So it's not an easy group at all. I think that conventional wisdom would say Brazil would top it, but given how, the quality in world football is rising now, we saw Morocco make it to the semifinals of the last World Cup. Hard to say if they'll do it again, but I think under Carlo Ancelotti, Brazil have played a lot better. They seem to be a lot more stable, but when you look at the roster, it's still not, a team we look at and say, oh, wow, it's like a 2002 Brazil where you would expect them to make it to the final no matter what. Having said that, I still think they top the group. I just think that the way Scotland play could bother a lot of teams as well. They don't have a lot of skill, but they're very good on set pieces. They're going to put 11 men behind the ball, just kind of wait for you to make a mistake. And one chance you give them, they'll probably score. Haiti, I think, have done well to qualify, but I think that goal differential is going to hurt, especially against Brazil.
Yeah,
I mean, Brazil have, stumbled a bit in World Cups recently. And Dominic, in my opinion, I'm still going to pick them to top the group, but there's also a chance you could see Morocco topping the group if they do well.
absolutely. I think, yeah, as you said, it's not the same Brazil as like 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I think like everyone can make it in this group besides Haiti. Sorry, and all respect, but yeah, rough group.
And one thing I will say is that I think Brazil actually look a little bit better without Neymar. Fantastic player, but I think his time has come and gone. The one thing that Brazil struggled with, I think, was the fact that they relied so much on him over the past decade, and maybe the balance in the team wasn't right. So I think as long as Vinicius Jr. is able to play better for the national team, that Brazil will have a good World Cup, but that remains to be seen. Looking at Group D, though, this is another interesting one. The United States are the first team here, along with Paraguay, Australia, UEFA Path C winner. Now, I saw something on X that said when you base it on the FIFA rankings, this is probably one of the weakest groups. I think for the United States, they'll be very, very happy with this draw. Paraguay and Australia are not really teams that get blown out a lot, but I think from what we've seen with Paraguay when they played South Korea, not too impressive. Australia doesn't really have the most skill. And then the winner of UEFA Path C is going to be one of Slovakia, Kosovo, Turkey, or Romania. I'll let you speak on this because you know UEFA ball. Turkey, I think, if they are the winner of that path, could really, though, cause problems for the United States here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Turkey is also some team you have to be aware of their quality. I mean, if you look at their top players, Kenan Yildiz is very, very thriving at the moment. Very good player. Also, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is fit again, playing very well in Italy as well. But yeah, it's really hard to predict because I think they chronically tend to underperform. If you think they will be there, they won't. So yeah, but the US will have their problems with them. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Turkey kind of reminds me of Brazil. Like since 2002, they've never been able to reach the expectations we had of them from that World Cup. But I mean, as a German, Dominic, like this Turkish team is stacked with talent. A lot of these guys, if they had chosen to play for Germany, I think could have made a case to be in Germany starting 11. They just chose to play for the country of their ancestors. So for people who don't know in the States, this Turkish team is dangerous. It's very dangerous. I don't think they're a typical, position 4 team in any group. Lucky for the United States, I think they opened against Paraguay in Los Angeles at SoFi. And then even if they do play the Turks, that's going to be the last group stage game. So assuming that they take care of business against Paraguay and Australia, the U.S. could already be sitting on 6 points. I mean, Dominic, this is a big deal for people in America because it's our first World Cup hosting since 1994. Like when you get this U.S. team, I know some of the dual nats on it as well. Is it as good as people are hyping it out to be in the American media, or do you think maybe it's somewhere more in the middle where it's a decent team, but people shouldn't expect too much of it in the knockout stages?
It's really hard to say because I think when you host such a big tournament, you can create a momentum that's beyond your player quality. So
yeah,
I think it can always be like a better outcome for them as I expected. So I think you have to be aware of Mexico, of Canada, of the United States, because if they create a momentum, if you said it, the first match is against Paraguay, and if they deliver, it can build itself up. So
yeah,
I think it's a good group for the US actually.
It is. I mean, Australia traditionally, very physical, hard to play against, but again, the skill level just isn't there. So as long as Pochettino is able to, make sure the defense is paying attention, I think it's straightforward for the U.S. to finish second. I've honestly have no idea who'll finish as the other team getting out if it's not Turkey. But if it is Turkey, I think we could say the U.S. and Turkey are probably the top 2 teams in that group. Moving on, Group E. Oh my goodness. Well, this is a personal one for Dominic. Germany, Curaçao making their first appearance at a World Cup, I believe. The Ivory Coast and Ecuador. I mean, first thoughts when I saw this was that, okay, Curaçao, I'm sorry. Just enjoy being there. And maybe like a traditional, non-football analyst would say, oh, it's only the Ivory Coast and Ecuador. But Ecuador, I think, were one of the best defensive teams in World Cup qualifying. They don't score much, but they don't concede either. Ivory Coast, I believe, traditionally one of the top teams in Africa. Just lots of skill, I think, always, and lots of physicality in midfield. I think, Julian Nagelsmann should, if he wants to keep his job, he should absolutely top this group. They should get 9 points, but I think the potential is here for some close games, Dominic. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if you have a first look at the group, it may look easier than it is. As you said, Ecuador is, I think, pretty underrated. Defensively talking, they have players like Piero Hincapié, who's now playing for Arsenal, so you shouldn't underestimate them. And also Ivory Coast, I think, as you said, very quality, very physical, very fast football. So yeah, but Germany should always top this group. As you said, if Nagelsmann want to stay, he should just deliver.
And again, guys, I think the important thing about a World Cup is that the schedule matters a lot compared to other competitions. Who you play first and who you play last can really affect whether or not you escape the group. So in this setup, I think Germany played Curaçao first. And we all know, Dominic, in a tournament, that first game, like we said, if you score 5-6, then the confidence just builds and builds when you play better teams. Right now, Florian Wirtz is not in form for Liverpool. And what if there's a scenario where he just doesn't play well for the rest of the year? He starts that first match against Curaçao and he scores 2-3. Everything changes, right?
Yeah. I mean, that game should be the opener for Germany. It must be like 4-5-6-0. And then the momentum you can build up, you can give, as you said, players that are in form just a push out of that game. Yeah, it's really important that Nagelsmann isn't bottling this. So yeah, but we'll see. I don't know.
Well, I mean, let me just ask you. I mean, I know Germans can always be, very skeptical of the team sometimes, but right now the feeling is, they barely beat Liechtenstein and then they destroyed Slovakia in the game they had to win. Right now, looking at it, realistically speaking, what are the general expectations of this team? Obviously, I think that it's not as good as, the 2014 team or even the 2016 team at the Euros. But I still think it's good enough to at least make the quarterfinals and maybe the semifinals at best. I don't think they're on the level of Spain or France, but they shouldn't be as inconsistent as they have been.
Yeah, right. So I think the expectations are, like you said, making it through, making it to the quarterfinals or maybe the semifinals. But yeah, it's really sad. If you look at the last Euros in 24, which were hosted in Germany as well, it was such a momentum. Every German guy or every girl in Germany was watching TV and just hyping for Nagelsmann. And I don't get it how you can destroy this feeling in like 1 year
Wow, yeah.
due to that and inconsistency. So as you said, yeah, we made it directly, so they qualified directly, but it was really, really not that. I don't know if you can say it, sovereign. It
Mm.
was not. It was not. Yeah, how it should be. I think
It,
so.
it was like a summer romance, right? Just like
Yeah,
a
yeah. Sadly,
you date a
is the
girl
summer
for a few
robots.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I saw the videos of, the saxophone guy just blasting songs and Germans
yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of the street dancing together, which you haven't seen since 2006. And obviously, there's a huge German American population in America who are going to come out for these games as well. But like I said, you smack Curacao. Germany played Scotland in that first game at the Euros, so I think the template is here for Nagelsmann to do well. But if they doing well in the knockouts is a totally different question. So we'll see what happens. And moving on to Group F, this is really interesting. Dominic, you got the Netherlands, Japan, the winner of UEFA Path B, which is going to be either Ukraine, Sweden, Poland, or Albania, and then Tunisia rounding that out. I mean, wow, I that could be fun.
Absolutely. I've read a tweet on X where someone said, or we are gonna get to that group later. The group, what's called Group of Death, but technically, Group F is one of the most skilled or quality groups when it comes to FIFA rankings. So I
Yeah.
think these teams are all really not that far away from each other. Yeah, maybe the Netherlands should top the group, but I think Japan and Ukraine or Sweden or Poland or whatever who's going to make it in Tunisia all do really have quality players and a good team. So it's going to be fun to watch who's going to make it.
Yeah, I just think that first Netherlands Japan game is going to be crazy. That's going to be the first game in the group. Like we all know Japan, how good they are. Just the amount of quality they have from the defense to the midfield to the forward line. I think the Netherlands, under their current form, obviously some big players like Van Dijk have just not been playing well, and they're getting older. But you still have quality players when they want to play. Sometimes I think they're a bit inconsistent, like Germany recently, in that they have good attacking talent, but they always don't show up. And cute cat, by the way. And in Path B, I think that one's tough to determine, man. Again, Ukraine, Sweden, Ukraine. The emotional thing going on. Sweden did terribly in qualifiers, but if Isak and Gyökeres decide to wake up, you don't know. Lewandowski's last World Cup for Poland probably, and then Albania is always a scrappy team with Asani, who's a really good player. Depending on who enters that group, it could also be even more tough than it looks. I maybe too early for predictions, but I see a world where Japan actually does top this group and do well because they've been playing high quality teams a lot in their friendlies, and they're going to surprise the football world again. Because I see so many pundits say, "Oh, it's an Asian team. We don't, Japan, whatever." But I think that the Netherlands can struggle against this Japanese team, especially with the mobility, I think, of these Japanese players.
Yeah, I can also see Japan top the group, so you shouldn't underestimate their quality. If you look at our Brazil game and their game against Brazil,
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
But let's not talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. But let's get Group G now. Another interesting group. It's very diverse here. You got Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and then New Zealand. New Zealand coming back to the World Cup for the first time since 2010. I think Belgium, just not what they once were. Just a skeleton of themselves, really, when you see them on the pitch. Egypt under Mo Salah, I think, again, they qualified in 2018. They kind of maybe have some redemption for that World Cup because it didn't go well. Iran obviously always, bring quality and physicality, but given the fact that the political situation in the U.S. may not be the most welcoming for them as well. You wonder if that plays a role. Again, man, this group, I could also see any team finishing from 1-4, depending on, how the first game goes.
Yeah, but it should be Belgium if
It
they,
should.
yeah. But yeah, as I said, I think Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand really, yeah, it comes down to momentum or who's going to play each other first. So yeah, but it should be
Yeah.
Belgium.
I mean, I think it should be Belgium. I think De Bruyne is out right now. There's some questions as to whether he can make it in time for the World Cup. Surprised he was doing so well at Napoli. I honestly thought his legs had gone, but maybe he'll come back in time for one last tournament and then just retire from football. Iran, I think, have always been a team where they do well in Asia, but they always kind of disappoint at World Cups. I don't think they've ever made it to the knockout stages before. Most of their players are back in the Iranian domestic league, which I know a lot of their fans don't like because they feel like they don't challenge themselves enough. Mehdi Taremi is 33 now, probably his last World Cup as well. I know he's going to be motivated, but yeah, it should be Belgium. And I would lean toward Iran. Haven't made my official prediction yet, but I think it should be straightforward if everyone does what they're supposed to do. Now let's look at Group H. Wow. Okay, here's Spain, obviously the European champions, Cape Verde making their first ever World Cup, I believe, Saudi Arabia, and then get this, Dominic, Uruguay. I'm just looking at that Spain-Uruguay game. Unfortunately, that game is going to be the last one of this group. It's going to be the third game. But, I mean, this group also could be very chaotic because Cape Verde, for people who don't know, are a very good side that deserved to qualify for the World Cup, I think, regardless of whether or not it was a 32 or 48 team World Cup. Uruguay recently, lots of problems, but again, it's Uruguay, that prestige. I mean, Dominic, what do you think? This might be one of my favorite groups.
Yeah, I also thought about that. It could be really heated. Yeah, sadly, Spain and Uruguay is the last game. It would be a great opener for the group to set the tone. But yeah, I think Spain should make it to the first place, and then I don't know, man. I don't want to make a prediction on that because you shouldn't underestimate these three teams, as you said. Cape Verde, very well deserved qualification. Saudi Arabia also developing very well, I think, and yeah, Uruguay. Just if you look at the quality of the players, yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
And I think one thing that people don't know is that I think as a former Portuguese colony, Cape Verde has a lot of ties to Portugal, and a lot of their national team players do play in the Portuguese domestic leagues. They're not exactly, a bunch of players who've never played high level football. They're used to playing in Europe, which is, I think, rare for a national team that's qualified to its first World Cup. And then obviously with the Saudis, people made fun of them at the last World Cup, and look what they did to Argentina. Hervé Renard is back, I believe, as the manager again. He's always going to be, detailed and focused and ready. His teams, do not beat themselves. Last World Cup, Saudi Arabia was a tough out. I think in all three of their games, they gave their opponents trouble. Uruguay, again, have disappointed me a lot in recent years. Obviously, they were in our group at the last World Cup, just had better players, just didn't want to play with the ball. And then they bought in Bielsa, who's been nothing but a disaster recently. But again, just the quality of this Uruguay team makes you think that they should do better. One thing, Dominic, because that Spain and Uruguay are playing last, you wonder if Spain already has 6 points, if they're probably going to rest a lot of their key guys against Uruguay, especially because it's going to be physical. Maybe that give Uruguay a chance to nick 3 points off Spain if they really need it. But again, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for this match in this group. But there's also another group that we should talk about, and this one I think could be my group of death. I'll see what you think.
Yeah.
Group I, France, Senegal. I see path 2 winner, the Interconfederation playoff. Either Bolivia, Suriname, Iraq, and then finally Norway, led by the great Erling Haaland, are the last team in this group. Wow. I mean, there's so many storylines, man. Just France, Senegal, the history there. 2002 World Cup with them beating France in the opening game. Norway, Holland versus Mbappe. I mean, Dominic, this this I think is gonna be like this is gonna be showtime for sure.
Absolutely, yes. I think it's a very, very, very hard group. I think the quality is very high, and yeah, I'm just thrilled to see France versus Norway because what this Norway team is doing or has done in the qualification is just fantastic. With Sørloth and Haaland on top, it's fantastic football, very, very, very well deserved, and yeah, I'm really thrilled to see who's gonna make it to the top in this group because I think Norway shouldn't be underestimated. But yeah, obviously France is France, so top quality. But yeah,
Well, I think anybody besides, unfortunately, the path two winner can beat anybody. France can, Senegal can beat France, Norway could beat France, vice versa. I think one thing people don't realize is that France is going to play their opening match against Senegal. That is basically a rivalry derby match. So unless Senegal just completely gives up and doesn't try, it's going to be a close game, no matter how skilled the French are, I think. And then obviously with Norway, you talked about I think most people don't understand that even though this is Norway's first World Cup since 1998, there's been a reason they haven't been back because it's a small country, but they've, the timing is good now. It's just literally a golden generation of players where it's not just Erling Haaland, right? You talked about Alexander Sorloth. You have Strand Larsen, who's playing in Wolves, Oscar Bob, Antonio Nusa, the young Asgard kid who's playing at Rangers right now. He looks like a really good player as well. Obviously, their defenders are always going to be, Nordic, Scandinavian giants. So I think Norway is actually just one of my favorite teams that I'm going to be rooting for because I think there could be a chance where you see some upsets in this group. I'm not going to disrespect the French and Didier Deschamps. I think, they've earned the pedigree that they have. But who's to say Norway doesn't beat France in that last game of the group? I mean, ball over the top, Erling Haaland scores 2 quick goals, and France are chasing the game. I mean, this could be the most entertaining group of the World Cup, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm really thrilled to see how France is gonna perform against this physical but also skilled Norway team. It's not gonna be easy for them.
No, it's not. And one thing that a storyline that we have to mention is that Kylian Mbappe is currently, one of the top goal scorers in World Cup history right now. A lot of people thought that he would break Miroslav Klose's 16-goal record easily at this World Cup just because of, the increased number of teams. But given that he just got drawn into a group that's not so straightforward, with all due respect, I just can't see him scoring 3 goals against Norway, 3 goals or 2 goals against Senegal with ease. So he's going to have to really work for his goals. Maybe he can, feast on the playoff team that comes in. But there's a good chance that he doesn't, put up the numbers that we were used to of him at previous World Cups, because right now he's at 14 goals. But again, right now he's at 12 goals. Mbappe's at 12 goals. I mean, he might not score as much in this tournament.
Yeah, I think the group isn't that easy to break that record. So as you said, I don't think either France will even score 3 goals against Norway. So yeah,
No,
we'll see.
if they do, I'd be
Definitely no.
happy, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the defending world champions. Group J: Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Jordan making their first ever World Cup appearance, I think. Argentina defending champions. Lionel Messi will absolutely be back. Austria, Dominic, first World Cup since 1998. A lot of guys coming back from 98. On paper, for me, I want to be respectful, but Argentina, Austria should be the two going through here.
I think so too, but Algeria also a very, very well developing country if you think of quality technique. So yeah, but I think in general it should be Argentina and Austria. The momentum also on their side, as you said, it's their first World Cup since 98.
France 98.
So,
it's a long time.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the videos of Arnautovic calling out the president of Austria to make it a national, how do you say it?
Holiday?
Yeah, national holiday since they qualified. Yeah.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, but also you can see the joy and the momentum of their folks. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess as a German, it's like watching your little brother win something for once.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, listen, Austria, have always had decent players. I just think they've never, they've always had one or two guys that are really good, and then just the rest of the team wasn't, as good. Um, now under Ralph Ragnick, I think he's done an excellent job just creating a program. So he absolutely deserves to take them to a World Cup. Now, with Algeria, they almost qualified to the last World Cup and they lost like at the last second against Cameroon. So they're probably going to be eager to make some noise. Looking at the schedule here, Argentina plays Algeria right away. And then after that, they'll play Austria. So I think they have the two tough games right away. If they manage to get 6 points, I could also see them, probably benching Messi for the last game just to save his legs. But again, this is a group that I don't think is, on paper as exciting, but we never know because it's the World Cup. And looking at Group K, this is a one that is really interesting. Portugal, the winner of Path 1 in the Inter-Confederation playoffs. That's going to be either New Caledonia, Jamaica, or DR Congo, and then Uzbekistan finally making their first World Cup. We know them well. And Colombia. Again, Dominic, this one is where it could be like a total war. And honestly, you can make an argument, maybe a weaker one, that this is the group of death as well.
Yeah, I think you shouldn't underestimate the teams who seem to be the smaller ones at first sight, because obviously Portugal should go through this group, or at least it's their expectations. But yeah, if you look at the rest, Uzbekistan also very, very on the rise, and Colombia obviously very physical, very good team, very, very quality players. So yeah, it's not going to be that easy for Portugal, and I could also see them not finish on top.
Oh, absolutely. And most people are picking the DR Congo to make it out of that path. Most people don't really. Democratic Republic of Congo have a very physical, good team that probably should be at this World Cup. I have no guarantee. I mean, I respect the Portuguese. I would pick them to beat Congo, but at a World Cup, you have one bad day, could absolutely draw or lose to anybody. And I think that this is another group where you could see, the final rankings when the group is done be a little, not what you expected. And obviously with Portugal, the timeless question is, Cristiano Ronaldo. He's past 40 now. He's still leading the line. I think that he's still effective in some matches, but there are some games when he's just totally, completely useless. And at his age, you can't really, blame him too much. But this is a really physical group for them. The Uzbeks are also a very physical team in Asia. Colombia, obviously, Dominic, you've talked about. We know just, how scrappy they can be, combining that physicality with also some technical flair. Going to be James Rodriguez's last World Cup as well. But they also have Luis Diaz out wide on the wing, who provides lots of, energy up and down the flank. If Portugal are not careful here, this could actually be a bad World Cup for them, which is crazy to say because they have so much talent. But you wonder sometimes if Roberto Martinez has the best 11 on the field at all times. That's just my question with Portugal. All right, and now let's move on to Group L. Last group, we got England, led by Tommy Tuchel, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. That England-Croatia one is interesting. Those two teams obviously have history. Ghana, and they're an African team. Lots of, Ghanaian English connections, I believe, as well. Panama coming back to the World Cup after first qualifying in 2018. Conventional wisdom would say that England tops this group, but I think Croatia and Ghana, it could be a dogfight for that second spot.
Yeah, I think it's also a really interesting group if you think about it, because with all due respect, I think Panama is gonna have a rough time in that group.
Yes. Yeah.
But as you said, Ghana, it's such a talented squad. I mean, we played against them and we were lucky, if you want to say so, that players like Kudos weren't there. But if you look at their squad, it's really, really top class. Many of their players are playing in the Premier League, so very physical, very technical, very, very talented. Also, Croatia, a very good nation when it comes to talents. I mean, if you look at what's Vuskovic doing in Hamburg on loan from Tottenham, just yeah, really good squad, I think. And England, I'm not trusting them. I don't think it's easy to say that they will top the group because
Really? So, I mean,
oh man,
let's talk. I mean, let's talk about this. Like, lots of controversy in England because they hired a German manager, right? obviously, for non-football reasons, but I think, Thomas Tuchel best, Dominic, out of, everyone in our community. Started his career, worked his way up to the top. He's won a lot. He's kind of also, created lots of enemies at clubs he's been at, but this is international football. Maybe conventional wisdom says he would be better suited to this type of tournament and play.
Absolutely, I'd say so. I mean, if you look at his time at Chelsea, he did best when it came to knockout tournaments. I mean, he won the UCL with them. Yeah, I don't know how I could forget that, but maybe I change my opinion with that, because I think, yeah, Tuchel it's just like some perfect coach when it comes to knockout tournaments. But I'd not say England is guaranteed make it to the top, but the chances have just increased with that information.
Well, yeah, I think maybe are you trying to say that, obviously Tuchel is the best manager by far, but, we've just seen England not do it, when it matters the most. So maybe you just don't trust them to do the business, I think, right? Is that fair to say?
I think I can guess where it comes from, but yeah, technically he's one of the best who could do it for them, I think.
Yeah, and I think that, this is going to be the last dance for somebody like Harry Kane, who's 32. But still, this English, machine keeps churning out good players tournament after tournament. They just keep replacing guys. You see guys step up like Adam Wharton, Eze coming up and really becoming a dangerous player in the Premier League. Guys like Kwanzaa, who've also done well at Leverkusen. Nico Riley, who's a really young player at Man City. And then obviously you still have Bellingham in midfield, but then, you still have guys like Saka and Foden who've been there forever, but they're also not that old. So I think that England should absolutely be one of the favorites, and I think under Tuchel they'll do a lot better. But England for me is like one of those like sports teams that just have never won it or haven't won in such a long time that I won't believe it until I see it. But having said that, I think there's still no excuse for them to top this group. Now, their opening game is going to be against Croatia, so that's going to be really important to get 3 points. Mentally speaking, Croatia, I think, do match up very well against England in traditionally. So that first game is important for them. If they get the 3 points, I think they'll probably get 9 points out of this group. But that again depends on how they do in the opening match. And then Dominic, as we wrap up, the last match of this group is going to be Croatia-Ghana, and that it could be really, really entertaining, I think, and maybe the battle for second.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be a great clash. I mean, if England manages to win all the 3 games, obviously this is where it comes down to who makes it to the knockout stage. So yeah, both teams will fight for it, and both teams very physical, very technical also. So yeah, really thrilled to see it. Who makes it?
Yeah, and kind of as we wrap up, I guess, last few thoughts, Dominic. This is going to be the first 48-team World Cup, right? We had 32. I am of the belief that I think 48 was a bit too much. I'm not against expanding it eventually, because I know that football is getting better across the world and more fans deserve a chance to watch their teams play at the World Cup. But I think that there are some groups here where I'm just like, okay, well, I see a little too many easy games for some teams, not enough groups of death. I could be proven wrong. I thought Qatar wasn't going to be that great of a World Cup. It turned out to be one of the best. This could also be amazing, and FIFA would make us all look like fools. But right now, I'm still of the belief that 32 was the best choice, because now that we have 48, there's going to be a bunch of third-place teams qualifying into the round of 32, and that just makes the math more confusing, and I think it reduces the drama on the final group stage day, because in the past only 2 teams would get out. Now it's going to be 3 for most people.
At the end of the day, it always has to be seen on 2 perspectives. So as you said, expanding, obviously, more matches, more money. Yeah, more injuries, maybe more matches for the players, more game time. But also, as you said, it's a chance for these small nations to make it. For the folks to support their nation at a World Cup, that's something special. So we'll just have to wait and see how it comes out. And maybe at the end of the day, if Korea makes it to the 3rd place and goes through like that, I won't complain. So yeah.
Oh, so if we make it third place in the group and Germany finishes first, we're playing Germany in the round of 32.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
no problem for you. Wow, no problem for you because you win either way. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll have more great content leading up to the World Cup. Don't forget to follow Dominic. I'll link all his socials down below. He does a great job with his Taego Ballers of Korea work. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.